because this is a story of redemption 48 years later. I'm Eric Hollenbeck. Welcome to Tales from the Ox. Hi, I'm Eric. And we've been asked to do videos explaining what it was like in the front lines of Vietnam. Thank you guys for all your comments on my previous videos of my tour in Vietnam, and it helps me to release the story. This is the Heliborne assault into the Ashawa Valley, August 4th, 1968. This was the one that I was awarded, all of us, I guess, I don't know, the Combat Assault Medal for the 101st. I've told everybody for all these years that my company, a company, spent 322 days straight in the jungle. We never came out. Well, that's not quite true. It was resupply day. MACV called us and said, blow a big landing zone. Found a place for a landing zone for the Hueys to come in and get us resupplies, but they wanted a big landing zone. All of a sudden in the sky, there's 3 Chinooks. Chinook helicopters. Never seen a Chinook. Those are the big banana-shaped ones. Can carry 40 people at a time. And each Chinook sat down and they had us get on. And all of a sudden, within, say, 5 minutes, we ain't in the jungle anymore. The whole company left. We're gone. We're out of the jungle. We'd been in the jungle for well over 6 months straight. And this all came as a surprise and a breath of fresh air. And they take us back to this tent city. Tents everywhere. Main road going on it. And it was the rear base for 101st Airborne. And our little area has got probably many tents, but I remember 3 long tents and a long tent this way set up and a little grassy knoll on the backside. We get out. I had my radio, had my rucksack. I had 1 or 2 days worth of meals left just because I always carried a little extra, and all my ammunition and my weapon. And they said, there's 3 long tents down there. 1st platoon, 2nd platoon, 3rd platoon. Break up, go into your 3 tents. There's cots in there. Pick a cot, stow all of your equipment under the cot, and that's your space. And like I said, there was 3 tents, 1, 2, 3 long ones, and then this long one this way. Well, that was the mess hall. That was the kitchen. I came out and I thought I'd look around a little bit. You know, I'm young and I'm curious. And the heck's going on? What's happening? And I looked out over this tent city. That's where I really got to see the tent city because we couldn't see it from the helicopter. At 19, I can't open my eyes wide enough to take it all in. It's just awe-inspiring. And I stumble up to that long tent, the mess hall, going that way. And here's a young guy, private, with a cooler. And he's yelling, free beer. Free beer. It's cold. Free beer. He opens a cooler, reaches in, and he grabs out 2 cans of beer and hands them to me. Now I got 2 cans of beer in my hand. So this is pretty good. This is okay. And I begin to put it together wrongly that it was an R&R, rest and recuperation. That's what R&R stands for. Because we've been so long in the jungle. They were giving us a break. I drank the 2 beers, and then I was sleepy, of course. I mean, you're sleepy all the time. We got up with the sun, and we walked all day under full packs to a new place, and then had to dig in at dark and dig in and fortify our position. So we were always tired. Well, the 2 beers did their job, and I got back into my cot and laid down and went to sleep. I slept the rest of the afternoon. Never woke up once. Finally, somebody came by and kind of rattled some bells and stuff and said, it's time to eat. And they're serving food on metal trays. Crap. And it's hot food. And it ain't lurps. And it ain't sea rations. I can't remember what it was, but it doesn't matter. Wow. This is pretty spectacular. So I went and ate the food. Now, I have to tell you this, folks, because it shows you the insanity of war, of combat. And I'm eating away. And we didn't do nothing with the trays. We just stood up. They told us to stand up. We'll take the trays away. We didn't do nothing. And I'm eating this food. And all of a sudden I went, wait, this ain't right. We could get used to this and they could take this away from us. Where we just come from, there was nothing they could take away. Nothing. Zero. And this they could take away from us. And the next day, I ate sea rations. I would go sneak into the tent and open a can of cold sea rations and eat sea rations. This I'm familiar with. This they can't take away. My friends, that's not the thoughts of a sane 19-year-old. That just isn't. So I had to share that with you. So anyway, we eat the dinner. Remember that little grassy knoll? That night, they set up a screen. They put some posts in the ground and set up this big screen. And then all 68 of us went up there and they showed us a Doris Day movie. They had it on projector, and it projected it and we could hear the sound and all. She was a goddess on that screen. We had not seen a woman, period, in 6 months. And I watched that. I watched my heart break. I fell in love with her, of course. At 19, you fall in love with any beautiful woman you see. But I noticed something. Throughout the entire movie, not one man in the company, not one, zero, hooted and hollered or made any gesture or obscene gesture, whatever you want to call it. Meant nothing. Zero. We were spellbound. And these are, you got to understand, these are guys been 6 months in combat. These are guys who have seen atrocity beyond atrocity, what modern warfare can do. Nope, not one. There were no catcalls. There were no, everybody was in awe. You know what? I bet you she smelled like flowers. We smell like butts. Butts and sweat. That's what we smell like. And then the next day rolls around. They don't call reveille. And we wake up, when we do, pretty much at dawn. That was our cycle. That was, and everybody else went in and got breakfast. And like I said, I ate some sea rations on my cot. I didn't want anybody to know, because something in me told me this is wrong. And then all of a sudden, they had taken the screen down, and they said, "Here's swimming suits for everybody." They said, "The Chinooks are coming in and going to land up here. Get on the Chinooks." Is this reinforcing the R&R or what? So they take us to the Gulf of Tonkin, which ain't very far away, but the Gulf of Tonkin. And they have Marines set up on perimeter around us. And we sit on the beach. Some guys had pot. And, the whole time the free beers guys giving away free beer. I forgot that part. It's cold. It's delightful. Free beer. That's happening day and night. I went out on an inner tube a little bit, so I'm not a big swimmer, and then I came in. But everybody else played and played and played out there. At one point, a fishing boat shows up. I mean, it's way out there, for God's sakes. I can see it. It's a fishing boat, for Vietnamese, and it's barely held together. They called all of us in. They sent a motorboat out with machine guns to drive it away, tell it had to get out of here. We got goodness, so we didn't get any hooks in us. I don't know what they were worried about, but whatever. And we had a wonderful day at the beach. Well, the beach drains you, the sun and the water and everything. So we came back in. They had dinner. I had a sea ration, and we all just crashed. 4:00 the next morning, they called reveille. So we all get up, get dressed. It's fine. No big deal. Actually, we're pretty rested even. They said, "Protestants, you go over to that guy. Go over there. Jewish people, you go over here. Catholic people, you go over." All those things. And they were given last rites. All of them. Given last rites to us. Wonder what this means. In 10 minutes afterwards, we found out, and we got some big commander guy, I don't know, come out and talk to us about, you're airborne, you're 101st, you guys are the toughest of the tough, and we're taking you on the Heliborne assault today, this morning, into the Ashawa Valley. And intelligence has it there's a battalion in there. Wonderful. A battalion is 3 or 4 companies of men. We are one company, and we ain't even a company. A normal company is 200, and we're 68. And he goes on and tells us, I know you're going to kick ass and take names. It's good. You guys are tough. Yeah. That's what the last rites were. So we drew straws. The 3 platoons did. And my platoon got the short straw, 2nd platoon. So there are Hueys that come into that grassy knoll, and we're all laid out how we're going to go. And each Huey carried 5 guys. As a platoon, we chose who's going to hit the ground in what order, because we have to be cohesive. So we go in, all these 12, 14 helicopters, and the first chopper hits the ground. Well, on a Heliborne assault, they don't land. And you gather up your bags and get out. That ain't how that works. They bounce and they hit the ground, and you've got 10 seconds, because they're already starting to climb, for all 5 of you to get out of there, to just bail. The first chopper hits the ground and starts up. Second chopper, my chopper, hits the ground and starts up. And just then, so there's 10 of us on the ground. First chopper had Chuck, our machine gunner, and Tim, his ammo bearer. maybe our grenade launcher, and a couple of gunners. My chopper had the radio, me, Sergeant Baldwin, the group commander, and 3 gunners, say. There's 10 of us on the ground. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, 50 caliber anti-aircraft gun opens up. This is a heavy gun. This is an anti-aircraft. This is not a 30 cal machine gun. This is a heavy gun. And we're there, and I watched Chopper 1 get hit. Chopper 2 veers off, and all of a sudden, that chopper caught on fire. I don't know how to convey this, folks. It was the dangest thing I ever saw. And I just stood there watching this thing, and it melted in midair. The chopper melted. I watched the tail, of it just melt. Didn't fall off. It just melted and sagged. and the blades are going like this. I can see them. They're just going like, and yet it wouldn't come down. It just stayed in the air. And I am mesmerized by this. I'm mesmerized. I cannot. There is nothing in my brain can put this together. What's happening? Then I see it's melting, and I see 3 guys jump out of it. They're probably 60 feet up, something like that. All of this happened in 2 seconds. But to me, it was 20 minutes. It was just, I to this day can't figure it out. It's broke all the laws of physics that I know of. Anyway, then it melted enough and it nosedived over this way. And then all of a sudden, I hear Baldwin, my sergeant. He's been yelling at me, but I can't hear it. And he's yelling, Holly, down, Holly, down. I get my wits about me, and I hit the ground. They called off the entire assault. All of the other choppers, 12 choppers now, go straight up in the air. Because I happened to turn my head and look, and they look like ants up there, all of them just circling around. And there's 10 of us on the ground. Battalion, remember? So we put our feet together, all 10 of us, like the spokes of a wheel. And that was our perimeter. Everybody's on full automatic. All the weapons on full automatic. And bring it on, whatever. This is going to be our stand. And nothing came. But the reason nothing came is because the Cobras came in. With this assault, we had 4 Cobra gunships with us. And out of nowhere, when the rest of the company went up in the air, the Cobras came right down on ground level. And here's our little wagon wheel, and they started flying this way, and this way, and this way, and this strafing. And they're strafing with those miniguns, those 30 cal cannons that are at 200 miles an hour. They'll put around every 6 inches. They don't go like a machine gun. They go wah, wah, one continual noise. And they would strafe up to us, stop 20 feet from us, go over, pick up 20 feet, and strafe out. And they just kept going in every direction. They were trying to hold everybody away from us. That's what they were trying to do. And that lasted about 4 days. No, I'm kidding. God, that lasted 15 minutes. They did that 15, 20 minutes. And then, now we're going to come back to all of this because this is a story of redemption. That's why you have to stay for the whole story, because this is a story of redemption 48 years later. So these guys are crisscrossing, whang, 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 and they don't quit for this whole 15, 20 minutes, and the ground shaking. We can feel the ground shake because they're coming right up within 20 feet, 30 feet of us. I don't know. Felt like they were coming within 2 feet. But that's the joke that I said the other day that only a combat veteran knows of crawling up inside your helmet. Oh boy, that's where you were headed. Little turtle. You peek out maybe. Anyway, then all of a sudden they said, okay, on the radio, the assault's back on, secure perimeter. So we opened up the spokes, and then 2 more choppers hit the ground. No problem. And more choppers are coming in. And Baldwin says, my sergeant, let's go get those guys. Because when that Huey caught on fire, I watched 3 guys bail out of it. I watched them. I watched all this happen. So I'm the one that knew where they were. Me, Eric. So when Baldwin said, let's go get those guys, you just jump in line. Well, I was head of the line because I knew where they were. We didn't talk about it. I knew. Well, all of a sudden, Ben, I'm walking point. I'm the lead guy. I don't walk point. I'm the radio man. I don't even know what the heck to look for. I don't know nothing. I know I got my M16 on full automatic and look around and we're parting the elephant grass. That's all that this valley was, elephant grass, 10, 12 feet tall. Parting the elephant grass. And the first thing I see is 2 dead guys on the far side of this little mashed down place. They're kind of stacked up like cordwood, not really, but they're laying there. And next thing I see is a door gunner. And he has pulled that 30 cal machine gun out of the helicopter. Maybe it unpins, I don't know. And he bailed out with a machine gun and 2 cases of ammunition. And I know that for fact because you're taking all this in an instant. The brain's processing this instantaneously. Here he is. He's got that 30 cal right in my face. And I can see the band going down and then the band going to the next box of ammunition. He's got a full load going. And I got my M16 right in his face on full automatic. He is white as a sheet. His one leg is going off at a funny angle. Ain't supposed to be like that. But he's shaking like a dog pooping peach seeds. And he's bleach white. The thing I remember, Ben, that I will never forget is his lips were white. He had no color in his lips. And it took a second or 2 for us to make recognition of each other. He saw I was an NVA. I was U.S. and he was an MBA, He's U.S. And the instant he saw who I was, he dropped the weapon and fainted, passed out. So Baldwin had the gunners grab these three guys, and we went back. One of the choppers coming in tries to do his bounce. I don't know, the 5th, 10th, what, it don't make any difference. And if I remember right, Chuck, our machine gunner, got right in front of him and pointed that 30 cal at him and says, "Stop." And I mean, we're not playing around. He did, rested for a minute, and we got these 3 chopper people onto the helicopter, and then he got out of there. "Stop or I will blow you away." Good for you, Chuck. And we got word later that all 3 of them made it. Those 2 dead guys, they were just knocked out. They were just cold as wedges, that's all. They were fine. And broken leg guy, he got all fine. And yeah, we got a letter from him, from Medevac, and they were all going to be great. Well, then Baldwin said, "Let's go see the chopper." It was him and me and 2 gunners, because it wasn't but over there. It had come down not very far. And we went over to this molten puddle of stuff. There were a few pieces that you could make out it was a chopper at one time. But most of it had melted, and there was a boot sticking out of that wreckage. And that was the other door gunner. See, there's 4 of them on the chopper. In my story, he got hit with the initial blast. And that was the end of his war right there. I don't know that for true. I don't know nothing for true. But that's my story. And Baldwin started to cry. I'm going to tell you a story one time, people, when I did that. And I looked at Sergeant Baldwin and I thought, now you're like me. You're bent. Now you're like me. And I remember thinking that. To wind up this Ashawa story, we got through the Ashawa Valley 2 weeks and went back in the jungle and spent the rest of our tour in the jungle again, and everything was fine. So here is the redemption. You folks ready for this? I even know when it was. It was 2015 or 16. This is 48 or 49 years later. Blue Ox is all here. We're doing fine. And we have tours and all that. We've had them for 15 years or whatever. And everything's rolling along like you know it today. And a husband and wife came down. And they came down 4:15. And we close at 4 for the tours. And they said, "Oh, we're too late. So sorry." And it's just Viv and I here in the office. And Viviana said, "No, idiot here is going to stay. He has to close up. You don't worry about it. You go ahead and take the tour." So they did. Well, Finally, I go out to feed animals and start locking the skid camp up. I see the people. Hi, how are you? And you know, Ben, I'm a curious guy. So where are you guys from? And found out Southern California. Great, great, great. And what did you do? And he said, well, I'm retired now, but I sold glue. And he and I start talking about glue. That's something that rings with me. You know, how it works and all that. And the wife is bored stiff, absolutely stiff. She rolls her eyes and goes around the corner, starts looking at the other stuff, the foundry and lapidary. And then she says, Bob, Eric's a Vietnam veteran too. Oh, no kidding. Big smile on his face. When were you there? 68. Oh, what corps were you in? I Corps. They broke the country up into 3 corps. I Corps, 2 Corps, 3 Corps. I Corps was up here. Oh, and the smile's diminishing little by little each time. What division were you in? 101st Airborne. Now there ain't no smile left. What company? A company. And now there's a frown. And he says, did you happen to make a Heliborne assault into the Ashawa Valley August 4th? I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir, I did. I was on the second chopper to hit the ground, and then they called the assault off. Oh, my God. You're one of the 10. He had been the radio man for the fire base where the choppers were out of, controlling everything. And he told me, we knew you 10 guys were there. I tried to call in artillery for you. We couldn't do it. There were too many helicopters in the air. We tried to call in jets to take the burden off you. Too many helicopters in the air. They couldn't do it. The only thing I had was the gunships, the Cobra gunships. And he said to me, Ben, those guys would fire their ammunition, rotating, of course, because there were 4 of them, so they'd one and leave and come back here and told us, load us up now. Their guns are hot. We had never done this before. We don't know if the ammunition's going to just start spontaneously going off. What's going to happen? And they said, no, get that ammunition in here. Those guys need us. And all 4 of those chopper pilots did that and came back and then kept strafing for us. And he had thought for 48 years, folks, that he had lost all 10 of us. And he had been carrying that weight all this time. And I got to tell him, my friend, all 10 of us walked out of that valley. All 10 of us. You did perfect. Can you imagine getting that lifted from your shoulders after 48 years? In Podunk, Eureka! And having Viv have to say, no idiot here is going to be here. He'll go ahead. It's okay. I mean, all of the coins stacked up in the wrong way. And yet they all tipped the right way for him and for me to know that he was trying. I understand being a radioman. I understand trying to get things situated. I was the fixer. I'm supposed to fix everything. And boy, I get that. And to be carrying that burden, good Lord. That's the redemption, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And you can also watch videos here and here.